Good evening. It is a beautiful sunny day here in the great state of Alabama on Tuesday, October 8th. This is Rivals in the Booth. I'm your host, Kyle Holton, alongside my best friend and co-host, John Michael Roberts.
What's up, guys?
This is our second podcast. And today, let's just jump right in. All right. Obviously, I go to the University of Alabama. Let's talk about it. Vandy upsetting Alabama 40-35. A crazy win for Vanderbilt. Their fans rush the field. I mean, they take the goalpost to the Cumberland River.
That's what you do when you beat Bama. So
that's what you do when you beat Bama, and I have no, I can't hate on them. So what the heck happened? Let's talk about it. I think I'm just going to introduce it and throw it into myself because that's what I get to do as the host. But as for what the heck happened against Vandy, I don't think it was a coaching problem with Coach DeBoer. I don't think he did anything wrong. I don't think we're a bad team. I think we got outplayed. I don't think we looked at the Georgia loss and took it for granted and didn't think about playing the rest of our season. I don't think that happened whatsoever. I think Vandy just runs a style of offense that you're not going to see often, that can run the crap out of a football and knows how to defeat aggressive defenses. And that's what we are. We're a very aggressive defense. And that's what I think is going on. We look at, they're getting first and second down, they're getting 3 yards maybe, and it's 3rd and 6. And then somehow they pick it up because of how aggressive we are on third downs. And, they were 12 for 18 on third downs. They were 1 for 1 on fourth down. They had a total of 418 yards against us, 252 passing, which surprises me because I thought our pass defense was going to be better. But they're rushing 166 yards in 54 tries, and it killed us. We also had a lot of mistakes on the ball, 6 penalties for 57 yards combined, and we only held the ball for 17 minutes while they held the ball for 42 minutes. So I think our defense inability to get off the field, 18 third down tries, they're picking them up 12 out of 18 times is just insane. I think our defense has got to play better, and if they can't stop people on third down, if we cannot stop the run, we may lose a lot more games this year. And that's the one thing I'm going to overreact about in this loss is the fact that our defense cannot stop runs and we cannot get off the field in third or fourth down. I mean, we watched it last week against Georgia. Georgia was 5 for 5 on fourth downs in the second half. We could not get off the field.
We went for 5 times?
Yes. They went for 5 times on fourth down. Actually, I think it was more. It may have been 8. It may have been 8 times.
I can fact check that for you real quick if you want me to.
I'm pulling it up.
Okay.
I already have it pulled up. Fourth down. Yeah, no, they were 5 for 5. That's what I thought. Yeah. So not being able to get off the field is something we need to overreact about. If Kane Womack and our defense, this 4-2-5 swarm defense that we're talking about, doesn't get better with stopping the run and stopping people on third down, we're going to lose a lot more games because people are just going to hold the ball on us and they're going to possess the ball for 40 minutes while we hold it for 15.
I feel like if you want a chance at beating Alabama with your super high explosive offense, that's what you have to do.
Yeah, you have to hold the ball from us.
And I feel like Vanderbilt did that perfectly.
Diego Pavia, I said it last week. I said he worries me. He's a guy that just gives me freakouts, and that's what he did against our defense, and that's what he did for every Alabama fan.
I'd love to know his agenda against the state of Alabama. Because, oh my God, he hates Auburn and Alabama, apparently.
I guess so. I don't understand. This guy, 2 upsets against Auburn and now Alabama this year is just crazy for me.
And I would say a potential third on the way, but at this point, I think Vanderbilt is a better team than Auburn. So
they really could be this year. We'll get into that a little bit
later.
We talk about Auburn versus Georgia, but what I want to, so that's what we should overreact on. Is in fact, our defense can't get off the field and we can't stop the run. That is something we have to talk about. If their percentage just keeps getting up more and more, we're going to be a bad team. What I don't want to overreact about is the fact Kalen DeBoer is a winner. He's faced unbelievable tasks before. I mean, he brought a 3-9 Washington team to a national championship in 2 years. This is a much better Alabama team, an easier place to recruit. I am not worried about what Coach DeBoer is doing here. And no, I'm not worried about him wearing a T-shirt on the sidelines, if you were wondering. That is the most annoying thing I've ever seen.
God, I love
we're losing. We lost to Vanderbilt because our coach is wearing a T-shirt. I promise you that's not why we lost to Vanderbilt. Okay, I'll have you know.
I love overreactions on message boards.
It's so dumb. It is so dumb. And as for the people talking about,
that's why it's great.
Yeah. I'll mention this as just this little side tangent. What Malachi Moore did at the end of the game is completely unacceptable. Completely unacceptable. To kick a football and to throw your mouth guard and be a little crybaby as a fifth-year senior and a two-time captain, unacceptable.
Yeah.
I'll say that. However, that guy hates to lose. He has put so much time and effort in this program. He has stood by Coach DeBoer since coming in. He was one of the leaders on the team as soon as Coach DeBoer got here. I'm not upset with. I understand you let the emotions get to you in that type of game. No one wants to lose to Vanderbilt, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I understand it. Same thing happened last year against Texas. He threw his mouth guard and started chirping at people when he was going to make tackles, and he was throwing his fist in the air and screaming at people. But he released a statement this morning, and he's been apologizing about it the whole weekend since Saturday night. We're going to be okay. He's going to lead our defense, and I think we're going to be better. I think our defense has to be better because Womack wants to be a head coach somewhere just like his dad. So I think we have to get better. But while talking about our defense, I'm also going to pull up, I can't find it, Jaheim Otis entering the transfer portal. He's going to redshirt for the rest of the year and enter the transfer portal. I'm not upset. Guy has 2 tackles on the year. Both tackles came against Western Kentucky. He's battled some injuries throughout his career and is battling some more injuries. And it's like Coach Womack said today in his interview, we want guys who want to play for us. We want guys that are going to contribute. And if he's not going to, that's fine. Like transfer.
Yeah.
But I want to mention that I don't think it's going to be a big blow to our defense. Guys only played a few snaps, so I don't think it's going to be that big of an issue for our defense. But I just wanted to point that out that we do have a guy entering the transfer portal. And no, I don't think it's because we lost to Vandy that he's entering the transfer portal. I don't think that has anything to do with it. I think he knew he wasn't going to play since he didn't play against Vandy. And so he's just doing what's best for him. I get it. In this age of NIL and transfer portal and basically free agency in college football, you're going to see a lot more of that. I want to bring up Milroe's chance at being the Heisman winner. Can you lose to Vandy and still win a Heisman? And personally, I think yeah.
Yeah, I still think so. But he's gonna how he was playing before the Vanderbilt game. I think he has to play for the entire year.
Oh, he still played really well against Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm stat line watching because I didn't watch the game. I'm going to be completely honest. But he still had 300 yards passing, 2 total touchdowns.
Yeah, 310 yards passing, 2 touchdowns.
Exactly. So, he still had a very solid game. So, I just think, with that kind of loss, Cam Ward's going to have to slow down what he's been doing. Maybe even Ashton Jeanty has to slow down what he's doing. But I still see a world where it's completely possible where Jalen Milroe is still a Heisman winner this time in a few months.
1,000%. It's 1,000%. And, I don't think it's our offense's fault that we lost that game. Obviously, they could have done a lot more. There's just some weird things that happened in this game that just a lot of stuff went Vandy's way.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff didn't go Bama's way. I think Vandy got very lucky at certain points in the game. And you have to if you're going to beat Alabama.
Yeah, like the pick six.
The pick six.
That was crazy.
It's a 10-yard throw. Milroe throws it. Milroe throws the ball hard. We know that. Yeah. And Roy Williams gets popped, ball goes up in the air, and the safety comes and just picks it up and takes it to the house. Like, you can't do anything about that. And as for the fumble that he had, although I want to blame it on him really bad, Pritchett has to do a better job of blocking and not falling on that turf. I noticed that a lot this game. Like, there's just players slipping on that turf. I don't know if something's up in Nashville with the turf, but I don't want to even get into that. I'm not trying to start up.
That stadium's been under construction for a while now. They could have done something.
Yeah. So, I don't know. It seemed like a lot of guys were slipping out there. Where Pritchett has to block. He's coming in. Milroe's looking.
Don't blame it on the field.
Yeah. No, I know.
We're not Eagles fans.
But, yeah, as for Milroe, I think he's still a really good quarterback, still a really great player. He's going to be a top 10 pick this offseason for the NFL draft. So I'm not worried about Milroe. I'm not worried about his performance. And I'm not worried about our offensive performance. I think our defense has to get stops on third down in order for our offense to get the ball back anyways. So, we just, once again, falls back on defense, has to get stops on third down, has to stop the run.
Yeah, so, y'all have to get off the field.
Have to. And I'm excited to see what we do against USC and Lenoris in this offense. So, of USC Junior. And, yeah. But as for Alabama, I think that's where I stand. I'm not going to overreact at all. Saban had a loss against ULM his first year, obviously a completely different team, but Coach Bryant had a loss against Tulane his first year, once again a completely different team. But there are going to be bumps along the road for a first-year Alabama coach that you're going to have to run into, and it's going to be one of them. And it's I'm not gonna overreact because it's a 12-team playoff. We can get in with one loss, so we'll see how we do. But have got to win out the rest of the season. I think it's a no-brainer. But let's talk about Auburn and Georgia. I want to say Georgia didn't look amazing against Auburn. I was
Yeah.
expecting, for them to blow y'all out the water, and not something I really saw. 31-13 in the end, but they scored 10 points in the fourth quarter. So, kind of garbage time. But let's talk about, what didn't look so great for Auburn. What do you think is going on there?
My biggest takeaway from these last few weeks really is the lack of involvement we have with our young receivers
Yeah.
because this whole offseason, that's kind of been the underlying like silver lining about our kind of mediocre year last year is that we had this super talented
hmm
receiving core coming in, and outside of Malcolm Simmons, they had 4 targets.
Yeah. Cam Coleman only had 2 targets, no
Cam Coleman only having
receptions.
0 receptions. Same with Perry Thompson. Our two highest graded receivers coming in out of
Yeah.
last year's recruiting class, only getting 4 targets. That's inexcusable. We are a rebuilding team. We have to get our young guys involved early. And
Yeah. For multiple reasons too. Obviously, one, because they're elite playmakers. Cam Coleman, we've seen, can make
exactly.
plays. He is a massive guy. He's a good target. Peyton Thorne can give him the ball, and he can do stuff after he gets the ball.
Yeah.
But you also want to make sure those guys are getting involved so they don't transfer.
I had the exact same thought process
Yeah.
because you, especially with how bad this season's been going for Auburn,
Yeah.
like you have to give them something to believe in to stay here. And for what I'm seeing, I'm not seeing that. So it wouldn't
Yeah.
surprise me if we see some of these young receivers want to transfer out to teams that would get them involved. And I do want to
Yeah.
highlight Peyton Thorne's performance
Yeah.
because although he didn't have any touchdowns today passing, but he did have, in my opinion, a very good pass to Malcolm Simmons that got dropped in the end zone. And a huge highlight I've seen from him is he didn't have any turnovers today.
Yeah. No turnovers is huge for Peyton Thorne. I think that's been the struggle
Exactly.
all year. 16 for 27, 200 yards passing against a good Georgia defense. Not bad. I
Yeah.
do want to highlight, though, that in your press conference, Coach Freeze on the 4th-and-1 attempt that, really could have put y'all back in the game, didn't like what Thorne did. And it seems like
No.
they're just still not on the right page.
No, and you're completely right. They're not on the right page. And that's what I think is really has been killing us this season.
I
Because I
mean,
feel like this has gone out for more than just this one game.
yeah,
Because it's 4th-and-1 at near the midfield. And like you said, it's very like this could put Auburn back in the game. And it's supposed to go to Hunter, like Coach Freeze said, but he decides to call his
yeah.
own number and then runs laterally when you have to go downfield. I just don't understand what's going on there.
Yeah, and speaking of Hunter, there's a reason you give it to Hunter. He was 13 carries, 91
Exactly.
yards, had a 40-yard touchdown run
Mhm.
against once again, a really good Georgia defense. You've got to get Jarquez Hunter the ball,
Yeah,
and
you
Thorne
have
choosing
to.
not to do that is just
I don't
not a
get
good
it.
look on Thorne.
Yeah. And
Not a good
then,
look on Thorne.
like I said last week, I still think we're underutilizing him. Like he had a very solid game today. He only had
Yeah,
13 carries and he had 1 target
uh,
for 1 catch,
yeah.
but he had 16 yards on that catch. So
Yeah, once again, Thorne, if he can get your guys the football, we know they could be
yeah,
playmakers. And
100%.
I think I'll say this. I'll say this. Saturday, your offensive line looked a lot better.
Yeah,
A
they
lot
look
better.
solid.
And so I think that's something to look forward to for the rest of the season.
And I want to switch sides real quick to the defense.
Yeah.
And like I said last week about how like our defense has been doing a solid enough job all season keeping us in games, but like the lack of offense has led to our defense being out there for extended periods of time where they shouldn't be there,
Yeah.
and it's leading us to get like losing games because it lets the
Yeah.
other team just go down the field on a gas defense, and then our offense can't do anything to tighten the lead, like tighten the gap. And I think if we start giving the ball to our young playmakers, it's going to be that could fix it.
Yeah, for sure. And I want to point out the defense.
Okay.
240 yards against
Mhm.
on 23 tries for Carson Beck, 2 touchdowns. His longest throw was only 33 yards though, and your defense able to pick up 2 sacks against him.
Mhm.
I think that's once again not the greatest performance on defense, but something to look forward to. It's looking a lot better than say I don't know Cal,
Mhm.
Oklahoma. I would say Arkansas, but I don't think Arkansas's offense played really well whatsoever against y'all. But want to talk about that.
Nah,
But
we talked about that last week, I
yeah,
think.
so I think Auburn's starting to figure it out. I think
Mhm.
y'all are, and you have an extra week to get it figured out before you go take on
Missouri.
Missouri, and
Yep.
so that's exciting because
I want to go back to this point real quick about playing the young
yeah,
guys. On offense, I feel like giving these young guys some more play time would be huge for our offense. But I also want to highlight some of the young guys on defense,
yeah,
specifically Malik Blockton, who made the midseason All American first team for freshman,
yeah,
and then also Caleb Harris, who also did the same thing. And also,
yeah,
although he didn't have his great performance this week, last week Demarcus Reddick, our freshman linebacker, like they've all been playing solid and have looked like some of our best defenders all year. So I think if we continue to play these young guys, it's gonna give us another like spark and hopefully allow us to get back in the win column because we all know Auburn needs that.
yeah. No, for sure. And so I think yeah, Auburn has got to be excited. But while talking about Alabama and Auburn,
Yep.
let's go ahead and move on to our picks. And we're going to start off with first of all, let's talk about our picks last week.
Yeah, we
I had a
did so
terrible week.
bad.
Well, yeah, I had a terrible week. You did better. You had you went 2-4. You picked
Yeah.
UGA and Ole Miss to beat USC, and they did. I went 1-5. Okay, now granted, if Bama wins, I go 2-4, and you go 3-3. But yeah, I go 1-5. My only pick was UGA to beat Auburn, but this week I don't think I'm going to do so bad. Okay, I'm going to go ahead. We'll start off with South Carolina coming to Tuscaloosa, coming off the loss to Ole Miss. Bama's coming off a loss against Vandy. Who you got?
I got Alabama. I get it's a different tenure with Coach DeBoer, but I still feel like Alabama has that drive that they don't lose back-to-back games. And I refuse, especially after that embarrassing loss, I refuse to believe that they'll lose another game. So I got Alabama beating USC Junior.
Yeah, give me Alabama, and I think our defense steps up huge this game. I think 3 turnovers a minimum. I really do think. I think Malachi Moore gets at least one of those. I think it's a huge game coming back for him. We talked about it, but Auburn's off this week, so
Mhm.
I have something to look forward to against Missouri. Get to plan there an extra week. But let's go into the most exciting game I think this week: the Red River Showdown, the Red River Rivalry, whatever you want to call it. Texas taking on Oklahoma. Number one, Texas. Their first appearance at number one all season as Alabama lost to Vandy, but Steve Sarkisian knows how to coach, and that team is better. Ewers is back. I think they're going to be better with Ewers. I'm going to go Texas, and I'm going to say Texas by 15.
Whoa. I agree with you. I
Yeah.
think Texas is going to win this game. I just want to point out that this is actually their second time back in number one. They were number one the week
Oh,
of
yeah, you're
the
right. Just
Bama
start.
Georgia
Yeah,
game.
you're right.
But
You're right. My
I
bad.
I don't
Thanks for
think they
pulling that
win
up.
by 15. But I do think Texas gets it done and beats Oklahoma in the
So
Red
I'll,
River
I'll talk
rivalry.
about. So I'll talk about why I think Texas dominates that win.
Okay.
Oklahoma does not have an offensive identity. They're playing
No.
They play two quarterbacks. I don't think their offense is great. I think Texas defense is really good, and I think their offense is even better with Steve Sarkisian at the helm. And I know it's a rivalry game. I know it's one of the most exciting rivalry games, but I think this is a year that Texas blows them out. The one of few where Texas blows them out.
The one.
But moving on.
And okay.
No, go ahead.
Um, I don't know if they're still this limited at receiver, but 2 weeks ago they were down with five
They did have
receivers
five
versus
receivers.
Auburn.
That is true. That is true. And their
And
offense didn't look great against Auburn, though.
no.
I
And
still just
so I could see a world where you're right and they blow them out by more than 15. I just think it's going to be within like 7 or 10.
And it could be. Yeah.
Yeah,
We're not here. I'm not here to use the spread. I'm here to make the picks, and I'm picking Texas.
exactly.
That's all that matters.
Exactly.
Next up, I think the second most exciting game of the week, Ole Miss at number 9, Ole Miss at number 13, LSU. Ole Miss beating South Carolina after they lost to Kentucky, so they get to come back and win that game. Pretty good win.
Yeah.
And LSU coming off their bye, as I think it's going to be a shootout. I mean, both these teams are going to score in the 50s because I think both of these defenses can be really bad at certain points.
Yeah.
And this one I've struggled with all week as to know who I'm going to pick, and it's still a struggle. And so I think I hate it, but I'm going to pick LSU in Death Valley to beat Ole Miss. I think Ole Miss is going to have their second loss of the season this week.
I agree with you. Where I think it's going to be a very tight game, and although Death Valley is one of the hardest places to play, I trust Ole Miss's. If it turns into a shootout, I trust Ole Miss's offense more than I trust LSU's. So I'm going with the Rebels this week.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? That's crazy.
It's going to be close.
I'm making sure. Okay. I mean, I just remember last year.
It's a 50-50 game for me.
I just remember what it was last year in Mississippi, and so that's why I'm picking.
But I also think,
let's.
I also think LSU's worse this year, and Ole Miss is better this year from last year.
Yeah, I just still think LSU has to win at home. Yeah. I think that's all.
Yeah.
That's what it comes to. But
honestly, it's a 50-50 game. One of us had to pick the other one.
Yeah, no, for sure, and I like that. But moving on, talk about Florida. Man, Florida's surprising all of us. I really thought UCF was going to go into Gainesville and handle their business, and they didn't. Florida,
no, they didn't.
24-13. Mertz really silenced his haters. I mean, he passed for – they had 359 total yards of offense, and he had – I just had it pulled up – 179 yards and a passing touchdown. So, really, I mean, they kind of shut me up. I was not expecting that. And they're taking on Tennessee, wow. Arkansas, Woo Pig Suey getting the upset.
That was insane.
In Fayetteville. That was a great game with Arkansas.
Being able to hold them to 14 points is very impressive to me.
Maybe Tennessee's defense maybe Tennessee's offense is not as good as we thought. Just like Ole Miss's offense has not been as good as we thought they would be in the beginning of the season. This is going to be a blowout, though. And it's not favoring Billy Napier and Florida. And I have to take UTK here. Give me Tennessee.
I gotta take Tennessee too. They had their moment last year. They're not gonna have their moment this week.
Not again. And I think this one may be a blowout. This one may get ugly.
Yeah.
But yeah. Next up, we have Mississippi State taking on number 5 Georgia. Georgia coming off a win against Auburn, like we've already talked about. Looked like a Georgia team that can win. Mississippi State has probably been the worst team in the SEC. Coming off a bye week, I don't care. They're getting blown out. Give me Georgia.
Yeah, give me Georgia too. There's not much to be said here. I don't think Mississippi State's that good this year, and Georgia is Georgia football.
As much as I want them to.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Vandy versus Kentucky. Kentucky coming off a bye week. Before that, beating Ole Miss, had a really good win at home. This is back at home for Kentucky. Vandy coming off probably the greatest win ever. I think Kentucky wins this one because that's just how my luck is, and that's just who I'm going to go with. Give me Kentucky.
I think Vanderbilt, they had a fantastic performance last 2 weeks. I don't think they replicated either. I'm going with Kentucky.
Yeah, I just feel like it has to be that way. Next up, we have number 21, Mizzou, losing to Texas A&M last week, getting blown out by Texas A&M last week in College Station. Man, that was a crazy game. I really needed Missouri to win that game, and they couldn't. They're going to be taking on the UMass Minutemen. UMass coming off a loss to NIU. They are number 3 in FBS independents, where there's only 3 independents. They've lost to Eastern Michigan, Toledo, Buffalo, Miami, Ohio, and now Northern Illinois. I think Mizzou has to win. and they are going to win, and they are going to win very, very well. So give me Mizzou.
Just like there is with the Georgia-Mississippi State game, I don't think there's much to be said here. Missouri's going to come in and take care of business, and
You don't want to pick your super dog here?
no, God, no.
No, you're not going to take them as your super dog.
UMass is going to get killed, dude. I have zero faith in them.
Yeah, sorry, Minutemen.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, as for the rest of the SEC, it goes Arkansas, the Razorbacks coming off a win against Tennessee. They are off this week, and Texas A&M coming off a big win against Missouri is off this week as well. Well, let's move into the rest of the college football world. I want to come in and talk about the team that I want to say I've not been surprised by whatsoever, because it happened. I knew this was going to happen. Kurt Signetti and the Indiana Hoosiers, 6-0 for the first time since 1967, and they are actually the first bowl eligible team. And I'm looking at their schedule here, and
Do we have a sneaky playoff team?
I don't even think it's sneaky. Their hardest opponent is Ohio State, and that's their second to last game. They play Nebraska, Washington, Michigan State, Michigan, Ohio State, and Purdue. They could be 11-1. It's at Ohio State.
I was about to ask about the Nebraska game. Is it in Nebraska or Indiana?
It's in Indiana. Yeah.
Okay. I think that'd be a fun game to watch.
I think it's going to be a good game, but I think Indiana handles business like they've handled business all year. They've not really played in a close game. Their closest game was 42-28 against Maryland.
I think that was the hire of this offseason, is them getting him from James Madison.
Has to be. I mean, that's a huge hire.
I thought he was already a fantastic coach, leading JMU to be, I believe, 10-2 first year in the FBS. And now he has Indiana in a place they haven't seen. Oh, okay. And then he now has Indiana in a place they haven't seen since the 60s.
Yeah.
Fantastic coach. I think he wins coach of the year.
I mean, you must know why he's this good of a coach, right?
Is he a Saban?
You know where his first? Yep, he's part of the Saban tree. Coach with Coach Saban is first and second. As he actually was there for the 2009 national championship.
As soon as you said that, I knew exactly where that was going.
Yeah. So he was a wide receivers coach and recruiting coordinator under Saban. It's actually one of Saban's first hires, but was there for the number one recruiting class, along with the undefeated national championship season in 2009, and then the 10-win season in 10. So Signetti has a really good chance to win Coach of the Year, and has I think, an even better chance to meet Ohio State twice this year, maybe even 3 times. Could meet them in the conference championship and then again in the playoffs. And so I just want to point out, Kirk Signetti is the real deal. And I think, like you said, off-season hire, the best one has to be. But continuing with the Big Ten, let's talk about Washington beating Michigan pretty handedly.
Yeah.
Sure.
I believe they scored 17 straight in the second half to pull off that win, too.
Yeah, this is a college football championship rematch, and one that Washington handled business and did a really good job. And I wasn't surprised by that. I thought they would win that game. Actually, no, I didn't. I thought Michigan was going to win that game. I said Michigan was going to win that game.
I thought Michigan was going to win too. In my pick'em leagues, I picked Michigan, and Washington. I thought they were going to be a lot worse than they have been this year, and they've been proving me wrong. I thought they were going to be 6-6.
So.
Yeah.
I mean, they're 4-1, so there's still a chance they could do that. But Michigan benching another quarterback, the third bench quarterback this year. Crazy. Continuing in the Big Ten, Minnesota pulling off the upset, beating USC. The Trojans are now 1-2 in the Big Ten. What is going on over there in Southern California?
I just don't trust Miller Moss. I'm not gonna lie. I was never moved by him as being the starting quarterback at USC.
Yeah, I mean,
I honestly can't touch more about that game because I haven't seen anything about it. But I just never.
It just
a USC.
USC just lost the game. They had a chance to end it and couldn't. They just lost the game. But while talking about USC, Penn State going to LA to take on USC. I want to see, like, what do you think? I mean, we have two really good Big Ten showdowns, and this is going to be one of them. Number 4 Penn State, undefeated this year. Does USC bounce back, or does Penn State dominate and continue their dominance?
Part of me wants to pick USC just because of like how far of a game Penn State has to travel, so like they could be jet lagged. But I'm not going into that rabbit hole because I think Penn State go still. I don't think they win in blowout fashion, but I think they're able to get the job done in LA.
You know what I'm going to do, right?
Yeah,
I have to pick
can tell.
USC. I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't not pick against USC.
Are you going down the jet lag rabbit hole?
I'm not going to go down the jet lag rabbit hole, but all I'll say is USC is going to win this game, and it's going to be really close. But I think USC wins. But continuing with the Big Ten, let's talk about the biggest matchup this week: College Game Day, heading to Eugene to watch Ohio State, number 2 Ohio State, take on number 3 Oregon in Oregon. The matchup predictor has Ohio State 63% chance to win.
Really?
They're only 3.5-point favorites going in, and the total is 52.5. I'm going to be real.
Yeah.
I don't know who to pick, and I feel like it's going to be a blowout. I feel like it's going to be a blowout either way. Like,
really?
In all honesty, I don't think it's going to be a close game. Whoever wins, and it could be, but I feel like Ohio State has some identity issues at quarterback.
I do too. I do too.
I don't think Will Howard's great. He's 93 for 130, 1,248 passing yards, 12 touchdowns, but 3 interceptions. Gabriel's not much better. Gabriel has more passing yards and 1 less touchdown, same amount of interceptions. But I think this rushing game gets it done for Ohio State. So I'm going to go with Ohio State.
I'm going to go with the Oregon Ducks because, like
one of us has to. Okay, one of us has to.
Yeah, it's a 50-50. Like it was with Ole Miss, LSU. We have to.
One of us has to go.
I mean, because they're at home. I trust Dylan Gabriel to go out and win a game more than I trust Will Howard. So that's my only reasoning. I'm going with them, but give me the Ducks.
Yeah, and that's probably. I don't know. I've seen Oregon just struggled early in this year, and Ohio State hasn't, and so I think that I have to go with OHIO. So, man, I don't think it's gonna be clear. See, I want to say it is, but at the same time, I just don't feel like it is.
Yeah,
and so we'll see. Though we'll see. Moving on to the Big 12, man. Let's talk about the Iowa State Cyclones 5-0 to start the year. Something pretty surprising. Now, the Big 12 has a lot of surprising people, in my opinion. Texas Tech 5-1, 3-0 in conference play. BYU 5-0, 2-0 in conference play. Colorado 4-1, 2-0 in conference play. And then West Virginia 3-2, 2-0 in conference play. A lot of surprising people so far. But Iowa State, I feel like, is the most surprising, in my opinion. They're number 11 now.
I didn't realize
they have a shot. I mean, obviously, if they win, they're number 11. Do you think they have a chance to be the Big 12 champ?
I think so. Because I have their schedule pulled up right here. I'm looking at it right now. The rest of these games, I feel like, are very winnable. They play West Virginia this weekend.
Yeah. Pretty good game, I think.
Yeah. Oh, crap. Sorry, it went away. Give me a second.
No, you're good. So it's West Virginia, UCF, Texas Tech,
I gotta pull back up.
At Kansas,
Cincinnati, Utah, and then Kansas State. I think their only toss-up left in the schedule is Kansas State because Utah's down their quarterback, right?
Yeah.
So
Cam Rising may be out another year. So
he needs to hit the LinkedIn portal and go get a job. Because I think he's gonna be 26 at that point.
Yeah, he's gonna be old. Yeah. I like Iowa State's chances to win the Big 12, and if they win the Big 12, I think they're gonna be a really good playoff contender. Mm-hmm. So give me Iowa State. I like what they're doing. And dude, did you see the jerseys they wore this weekend against Baylor?
No.
Dude, you have to look them up. The black and white jerseys, they were sick. They were sick. I mean, they're the coolest jerseys in the game.
Oh, those
I
are
mean, it
beautiful.
makes yeah, it makes no sense because they're red and gold, but I just like jerseys.
No, I completely get
But
that. Because like,
a team, yeah, go ahead.
as long as you don't have navy, you can pull up an all white. You can pull up an all black, like just a neutral
Yeah,
color. Use black in your color scheme, and it's gonna look good.
that's true. Yeah.
So I just want to
Let's
put that
move
out
on
there.
to a team that Iowa won't play, but hey, could possibly meet in the Big 12 championship. I don't think so, but let's talk about Travis Hunter
Yeah.
and his chance to continue to prove himself and make himself a contender for the Heisman. Plays number 18 Kansas State this weekend. I don't think Kansas State's defense is just a crazy defense, but they definitely need to win that game if you're Colorado, and I think
Oh,
it's going to be a really
100%.
good game. But Travis Hunter has an ability and a chance to prove himself to be the Heisman frontrunner this
Yeah,
weekend, I think.
I think so
And looking
too.
at the rest of their schedule, they could win out. There's a chance that they could win out. And I know that's crazy saying, but they take on Kansas State, Arizona, Cincinnati, Texas Tech, and Utah. There's a chance that they could win out. And if Travis Hunter plays crazy on both sides of the field, continues, the chance he wins the football game. I mean, he wins the Heisman. Sorry, football game. Of course he's
Yeah.
going to win the football
No,
game. But
I completely agree. I think they do have to win out for him to be able to win it because
yeah,
they can't be how they were last year with like a subpar record. And I don't feel like he
yeah,
can. And with how the Heisman race has been going this year, I don't feel like he can do how Jaden Daniels was last year, where they were able to afford a few losses. So because
yeah,
I don't think throughout that year, last year, no one really put themselves out as a front runner. But this year, there's
yeah.
already four, potentially five, and
Uh,
front runners, so they have to win out. And I think he has a
yeah.
big chance to establish himself as the front runner, like you said this weekend versus Kansas State.
Yeah, and I think it's a really good chance. And for him to continue the success is going to be awesome. But let's continue talking about Heisman frontrunners. Miami and Cam Ward pulling the win out against
Yeah.
Cal. First time they were ever a game day was ever in Berkeley. Cal showed up, showed out, but a 25-point comeback. Ward continues that campaign for Heisman. I was looking at his stats. He ended with, sorry, I had it pulled up and then it went away.
You're good. I'm pulling it up as we speak too.
Yeah, yeah. You go ahead and start talking about it because I don't know where I
Uh,
went.
he had 437 total passing
37
yards
yards. Yeah, and a
with
pair of
2 touchdowns.
touchdowns. Yeah,
Uh,
three. Yeah,
and
two
they
passing
defeated the
for one rushing.
algorithm, which I think is the name
Yeah,
of the year for a fan base.
that's awesome. That is awesome.
Yeah, and he had another
Yeah,
one
I
on the
mean, what
ground.
a yeah, yeah. With 4 minutes left, it cut Cal's lead to 38-32. I mean, and Cal's defense able to Miami's defense able to step up too. I really thought that was going to be the game that Mario Cristobal loses,
Yeah, me too.
and Cam Ward just showing up and showing out once again. I mean, man, he has looked really good. This also makes them 6-0, so they are the second bowl eligible team right behind Indiana. So right now, Miami may be the only undefeated team in the ACC to finish the year, and they may be taking on Clemson in the ACC championship.
Yeah, right now
So
the race for the only undefeated team is down to Miami and Pitt right now.
yeah, and Pitt looked good against UNC. Eli Holstein looked really good, former Bama guy, so I got to root for him, but really good. But yeah, I mean, it's going to
Yeah,
be the ACC is going to come down to the wire, and I think it's going to be Miami.
yeah,
And I don't think it's close. I
yeah.
mean,
I just
Ward
want
has
to put
just
my
continued that campaign for Heisman.
Mhm.
Good.
I just want to put my thoughts out there. When they were down big to Cal, I thought that was going to be the game where Cam Ward gets pulled out of the Heisman race because they were going to lose big.
Yeah.
But he proved me wrong.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
how can you not deny him right now with how he was able to
you
be able
can't.
to exactly. I think right now he's the front runner with that impressive comeback. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
that's,
that's all I have.
yeah. I just want to pull up their stats for this year. He
Okay.
already has 2,219 yards.
Gosh.
Does have 5 interceptions, though, already,
How many
but does
touchdowns?
have 20 touchdowns. 20, yeah, 20
I
touchdowns.
would take
So,
a 4-to-1 touchdown interception ratio personally. I think that's pretty solid.
and not to mention he has 3 rushing touchdowns as
Yeah.
well. So really has 23 touchdowns. So,
Does it say
um,
has he fumbled any? ESPN's not showing it, so I'm just gonna take it as a no. So a 23-4 touchdown turnover ratio. I mean, that's pretty solid.
it's pretty solid, really solid. But talking about Heisman winners and Heisman deservers and Heisman frontrunners, GNT, bro. Man's is
He's
crazy. 1,000 yards in 5 games. That's
yeah.
five. That's 200 yards a game. That's crazy.
I just want to put this out there. I
And
saw this on
only
social
on
media
95
today.
carries, too.
On 95, yeah, he's averaging like 12 yards a carry, which is
Yeah.
insane. The
That's
last
10.9, but yeah,
Heisman winning running back was in 2015. It was Derrick Henry. At this
I
point
know.
through the year, he was at 550 rushing yards.
Yeah.
Ashton Genty is already surpassed 1,000, and he's about to break the amount of touchdowns he had last year in
Yeah.
the
I mean,
full season.
he's at 16 touchdowns. His
Oh,
longest
he
run so
did
far
beat
has
it.
been
He did pass
77
it.
yards.
My fault.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Because
mean, this
he
guy,
had, I believe, 14 last year.
Boise State also looking like the front runner to be the go for team in.
Yeah,
But Genty's continued success, if he can do this the rest of the year, which I think he can, he has to be the Heisman.
I think so
I don't
too.
care. I don't care about it being go for. I don't care about the teams he's played. He looked really good against Oregon too. He
Exactly.
has to be the Heisman. He has to be the Heisman. And
He's
you put him in the
shown he can
playoffs,
do
and
this against top teams, like you said against Oregon, and like we said last week, they have a very
yeah,
favorable schedule.
oh yeah, for sure. Has a
Like,
really good schedule. He can look. I mean, could win out and just be phenomenal the rest of the year. I do
uh,
want to look at. Uh, sorry, I want to look at his game log against Oregon at 192 yards on 25 carries against Oregon. So once again, really good and 3 touchdowns. So he has to win the Heisman if he continues this.
100%.
Has to. 1,000 yards in 5 games. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
The only person
But
who's
this
ever
will
done
also
this is
show.
Barry Sanders.
Yeah, and Barry Sanders did what?
Won the Heisman.
Won the Heisman. Yeah, and so also if they get in the playoffs and say he does good against another team, like this is like would the Heisman be before the playoffs or would it be in the middle or would it be after? It's something that we'll have to see because
I'm currently looking it up right now.
yeah, I know they released it, but it could change with how this voting goes this year.
It just says announced in January 2025, so we could see some playoff
Yeah,
action before it's announced.
yeah, exactly. Which I think could really, really boost him. So
I do
we'll
too,
see.
because that's the biggest concern for his race is the lack of
Yeah,
competition. But if he goes he's already proven it against Oregon, but if he goes out there and does it again, how can you not give it to him?
yeah, exactly. How can you not? I mean, he's just so good.
Yeah.
He is so good. And what's even crazier, Junior could play one more year. I think he's already could be necessarily a top 15 draft pick if somebody needs a running back.
I think he's RB
And
one
he's
in
only a
this.
junior.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
he
Oh,
will declare, and he's going to
1,000%.
be RB1.
Yeah, has to be.
Yeah, because
Has to
the
be.
only people who I feel like could argue for that's Ollie Gordon and Quinshon Judkins, but to me they haven't had.
Ollie Gordon has not been played great this year.
No, that's what I was about to say. Like they have not.
Judkins has, but
Yeah, but he's splitting carries in that backfield with Travion Henderson,
yeah,
so he's.
yeah,
I don't think he's going to do
yeah. I
enough to
mean,
separate himself,
no, not
especially
at
with
all.
what Genty's doing. And like
But
you
he
said,
is
Ollie
playing.
Gordon, he hasn't done anything really this year, to my knowledge.
Yeah, Quinshon is obviously going to play the better of opponents out of these 3 running
Yeah.
backs. So we'll see what that looks like. But that is all we have today for Rivals in the Booth. Thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Kyle Holton, signing off. My best friend, John Michael.
See
Thanks
you.
for joining us. Roll Tide, and see you later.
War Eagle.